Good evening, everyone. My name is Chukwemeka. For those of you who follow the Hebrew calendar, which I actually teach in this channel, you will realize that yesterday, which was the 31st of April, 31st of March, in the pagan calendar, is actually the feast of Passover. And that feast of Passover, if you read the book of Exodus, chapter 12, is to be celebrated on the 14th day into a new year. So I do hope that those of you who follow the calendar actually celebrated that feast, no matter how. And again, if for those who didn't celebrate on that day, this is the season. The biblical feasts are celebrated in a season, not a particular day. Most communities celebrate it different days, but the same season. Now, what I want to point out here is that if you see my videos on how the calendar came about, basically what we did was we went to the villages, to our communities, and asked our elders, our ancients of days, which is the first month of the year. And they told us the moon you're seeing now that's going to appear, that will be the first moon. They told us when we should expect the first moon or the first month of the year. And using the book of Enoch, I did a video and explained this. The video is then, this is the video showing here. And in that video, I explained how the calendar came about. When they told us the first month of the year, when the moon, that first moon came out of the first year, we just calculated 30 days prior to the appearance of that first moon, and we got the first day of the year. And because if you read the book of Enoch, it says that the moon comes out on the 30th of the year, on the 30th day of the year. And so we use that to know the first day of the year. And again, for those of you who understand the Bible, in the Bible we don't celebrate New Year. The first day of the year we basically don't celebrate it. So, but using that calculation, we knew the first day of the year, and from then the 14th day of the year we can calculate, and then we can calculate the feast of Passover and then the feast of unleavened bread that follows. So that's what we've been doing ever since. And for those of you who have a copy of that calendar, or who have seen the video in which I explain it, you see that every year I put it in an Excel sheet, and anybody can basically do that calculation and know when the feast is coming on. Now the interesting thing is that from the calendar I distributed, the feast of Passover fell on the 31st of March. And the interesting thing is that I got a call this evening from people in my community, and they told me that today, this evening, which is the 1st of April, they are actually celebrating Igbo. Igbo, like I have explained in this particular video, is a feast which the Bible interpreters call Passover. What Igbo means in Igbo land is actually to celebrate the promise. And brothers and sisters, if you read the book of Exodus chapter 12 and verse 25, it's the Most High told us to celebrate this feast, to remember the promise He made to get us out of the land of captivity. What I want you to note here is, look at what we did, the calculations we did following the Bible, and the calculations our elders are doing in the village. Look at how they synchronize. If we follow the Bible just using the first month of the year, if we follow the Bible, we'll calculate a particular day for the feast of Passover. And right there in the village, old men who don't even know how to read, don't read the Bible, they have nothing to do with any of these things. But it's similar, the same day, almost the same day we are celebrating the Passover, is the same day that they are celebrating these feasts in the villages. This goes to show you that we are the people of the Bible. What you see in the Old Testament Bible is Igbo culture. And you don't have to come from my community. Anybody can make a call to his or her community and ask them if they celebrate the feast called Igbo. And you will see that most communities do celebrate that feast, and they are celebrating it in this season, this period. You can just make a call to your community and ask them, is there a feast, an Igbo feast, that is being celebrated by this time of the year? And they'll tell you that. If you read the book of Ola Odaekwonu, he mentioned the Igbo feasts that are celebrated, and he said that we celebrate at least a feast before the planting season. This is that feast. It's the feast of Passover, before the planting season, before the crops are put in the ground. And he also mentioned that some of our feasts are celebrated, and some of our sacrifices are eaten with bitter herb. Children of the Most High, this feast of Ibanwa or Passover should be the single most important proof to anyone that the Bible is talking about the Igbo people. Again, if you read the book of Exodus chapter 12, from verse 8, the Most High told our ancestors how to celebrate this feast. Okay, he said we should eat roasted goat's head and legs, and we should eat it with bitter herbs. This is basically a cookbook for the meal that we call nkwobi in Igbo land today. It's basically a recipe for that meal. And I was having this conversation with one Igbo man, basically one elderly man. He's actually in his 50s, and he told me that when he was young, right, his father told him that the food that people call nkwobi is not a food people eat in the house. That is a very special food, that it's only the elders use it for a particular feast. This man is a Christian, and when I was trying to explain to him that we are the people of the Bible, and I mentioned nkwobi, I showed him where nkwobi is in the Bible, he was just like, wait a minute, that when he was young, his father told him this. So this should be the single most important proof to show that it is our culture that you see in the Bible. For those of you who are practicing Christianity and believe that the Bible is talking about the Jewish people, where is the Jewish people's nkwobi? Where is their own nkwobi? Let you show me their nkwobi. Let me know that yes, they are really celebrating the biblical feast. How many feasts are they eating with bitter herbs? Do they even know what bitter herbs is? Exodus chapter 12 and verse 8 is just a cookbook, a recipe for the food we call nkwobi, still eaten today. Roasted goat head and legs and some of the internals, eaten with bitter herb. This is what the Most High told us to do, to celebrate the promise, He made to get us out of captivity. And the interesting thing is that our elders in the community still keep these dates. I mean, look at how it synchronizes what we calculated using the Bible. And these our elders have been keeping this date, have keeping this feast. The man who actually, because what happened in the village is that when it's time for a feast, the old man who is in charge of the Aja in my community will go and hit Ogene, just call a town crier, to announce to the community that a particular feast is coming on. And he has been doing this thing loyally for years. First of all, his own calculations synchronize with biblical calculations. He doesn't read the Bible. This will tell you that what we are saying is true. Anybody, any Igbo person who wants to convince anybody out there that the Bible is our tradition, I would recommend you use the book of Exodus chapter 12 and show them clearly, because the whole world, we know that nkwobi is an Igbo meal. I mean, Yorubas cannot come and claim that they are eating nkwobi. They can't claim that tomorrow. No other people can claim that. And you see clearly that that same meal is retained in our feast. And not only is it retained in our feast, at the same time the Bible said it should be celebrated is the exact same time that our ancestors are celebrating it in our community. Children of God, don't be deceived by those who have interpreted the Bible. It is the culture, the ways of your fathers that they saw and stole it and put themselves in it. In the book of Maccabees, we were told that the heathens were looking for a way to replace the imagery in the Holy Scriptures with their own imagery. That's why they act all these Hollywood movies and they act biblical movies, and then they put all of them pure white. There's no black person there, so that in your subconscious, when you're reading the Bible, you only see white people. When you're reading the Bible, children of God, you should see your communities, you should see your ancestors. And that should tell you that what your ancestors did and what they are currently doing today, what most of these ancestors are currently doing today, is the real thing, is the real biblical thing. How many Christians that carry the Bible up and down are celebrating Passover today? The Most High made it that as a law that we should celebrate this feast in all our dwelling, wherever we find ourselves, every year, forever. How many Christians are celebrating this? They'll tell you that Jesus has died, so it's no longer necessary. A law that the Most High of Majesty put it has been nullified because somebody died. You know how many people that have died in this world? You are nullifying the law of the Creator of the universe just because somebody died. Anyway, I thank the Most High that things like this do happen once in a while for people to realize that what we are telling you here is true. We're not doing this. Personally, I'm not doing this for publicity. I'm not doing this for money. I just have spent years, a decade of research. And when we produce this video, we make it very clear that this is what it is. And we are seeing that. And I challenge anyone, any Igbo person out there, call your communities and find out if there's a feast that is being celebrated in this period or not. And then prove me wrong. But if you can't prove me wrong, then you have to believe what I'm telling you. We are the people of the Bible. The imposters came to Africa. They saw our tradition. And then they turned it and they saw the manuscript of our ancestors. And then they used it and replaced it with their own imagery and claimed that it is them. And even after they have done this, we can still pick out holes in the lies they have told. When you realize that the scripture is talking about you, you have to come back to the ways of your fathers. If you realize that you are a child of Jacob, you are a child of the biblical Abraham, then it is your responsibility to keep the laws that has been given to Abraham and his family. You have no excuse. It's not your responsibility to go to church and be screaming like a lunatic. It is your responsibility to keep the laws that Abraham kept. May the Most High bless us. Salam.